So, our good friend Coach D is back today with us to talk about the Biden Trump debate, and he has an excellent take on it and a way of looking at it that I don't think we've thought about just yet. That's the one thing that I love so much about bringing fellow content creators on this channel, and one of the things I love about listening to all the different takes of it. I'll give you all a little peek behind the curtain. Whenever something happens, I hold off on listening to people who I really enjoy give their take on it, and I do that because I want to give my own take on it, and I don't want to quote what they said. What's interesting to me, though, is that no matter how many times we talk about these things, everyone always has a different way of looking at it. Everyone always has a different perspective. And I talked about the Biden Trump debate, then I brought Superman Todd on the channel, and we talked about the debate. Two completely different takes both ways, and now we've got another way of looking at it from Coach D. So if you guys really enjoy this video, like I'm sure that you will, be sure to go over and subscribe to his channel. He is Coach D_speaks, and he's one of the best voices out there, period.
What's up, everyone? I'm Coach D. So recently I got a haircut, and as you can imagine, the conversations in the barbershop after the first debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden was absolutely crazy. And I'm going to keep it real for you. It wasn't good for Joe Biden or Donald Trump. So let's talk about it. So we're all sitting there, and we're talking about the debate. And my barber says, what the hell was Donald Trump talking about? Black jobs. What the hell is a black job? And for those of you guys who didn't see that part of the debate, here it is.
The fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you haven't seen it yet, but you're going to see something that's going to be the worst in our history.
So sitting inside that barbershop is two black barbers, a black professor, a black guy who owns a car dealership, and a black guy who works at a manufacturing plant. We're all looking at each other wondering, who here is holding the black job? Because it seems to me like we have a variety of jobs sitting in this barbershop. And then there was this interview with Marco Rubio, and he was asked, what was Donald Trump talking about black jobs? What are black jobs? And this is what he had to say.
And then I want to ask you specifically, Donald Trump said when it comes to the U.S. border, they're taking black jobs. He was talking about migrants taking black jobs. What is a black job?
Okay. Well, a couple things. First of all, you know what he meant by that, okay? He meant jobs that are filled by African Americans in America and others, Americans in general, but the question in specific was about black voters. He didn't ask that question, the moderators did, and so he segued into the impact that it's had on black voters, and that is very simple. When you flood a country with millions of people, you're going to have more competition for work. You are, and those workers are willing to do it at a lower wage. And that you see that in some of the fields like construction and trades. It impacts Hispanic communities as well. On your first question, look, the United States didn't invade Ukraine.
Sorry.
The United States didn't come across. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Finish.
No. You were going to ask me something.
I wanted to clarify on what you were just saying about black jobs. You seem to be saying these are low-wage jobs?
No, they're not low-wage jobs. These are working-class jobs.
Well, you talk about migrants taking low-wage jobs, and that he was talking about black voters.
No, what I said is that migrants are willing to come in and do it at a lower wage. They are, because they are willing to take work at a lower wage than an American would, and as a result, they get hired and not the American. And that is something that people have talked about for a long time. I didn't make that up. I'm not the first person to make that observation.
So there it is. Marco Rubio, Donald Trump, Republicans, they believe that black jobs are low-paying, non-skilled labor jobs. So as you can imagine, that had most of us pissed off. But then someone said, okay, so on one hand, you have Donald Trump. He's lying. He's talking about black jobs. But on the other hand, you have Sleepy Joe, who didn't seem to know where he was. So the consensus in the barbershop was basically, what should we do? Why should we even vote? So then one of the barbers looks over at me and he says, Coach D, you're pretty involved in all of this. What do you think we should do? So this was my answer to them, and this is my answer to everyone else as well. This election is about the Supreme Court for me. Right now, the Supreme Court sits at 6 conservatives and 3 liberals. It's out of balance, and we already saw what that did with Roe v. Wade. And there are other progressive issues that will come up as well. If you believe that gay people in this country have the right to be married and take advantage of all the benefits afforded to heterosexual couples, you do not want to leave that decision up to a conservative Supreme Court. If you believe that we shouldn't overturn the Civil Rights Act because we know that it will lead to discrimination in schools, housing, and the workplace, you do not want to leave that decision up to a conservative Supreme Court. If you believe that we should have religious freedom in this country and not one religion should take precedence over another in our public schools, you do not want to leave that decision up to a conservative Supreme Court. If you believe that there are instances where abortion should be an option, you do not want to leave that decision up to a conservative Supreme Court. If you believe that our country is obligated to look after its citizens and fund education, help pay off student loans, and feed starving children, you do not want to leave those decisions up to a conservative Supreme Court. I don't care that Donald Trump was allowed to stand on that debate stage and lie without any consequences. I don't care that he came off a little sharper than Joe Biden did. This is about policies for me. I value the rights of the LGBTQIA+ community. I value the rights of minorities in this country. I value the rights for women to have bodily autonomy. I value the rights for people to have religious freedom. Donald Trump being able to lie or look a little sharper than Joe Biden doesn't change his stance on the issues that are important to me right now. Right now, the Supreme Court is unbalanced. And if Donald Trump becomes president, there's a chance that by the time he ends his term, there will be 8 conservatives and 1 liberal on the Supreme Court. I'm not willing to take that chance. So again, it is about the Supreme Court and policies for me. Period.